Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Before we start, some housekeeping items. This is our forward-looking statement. At the end of the presentation, you'll have an opportunity to provide feedback. Please make sure to do that. Okay, so hi, everyone. I'm Manjeet Chhabra. I am Senior Director, Product Management at Databricks, working on internal GenAI applications.
I'm Akhil Aggrawal. I'm the Enterprise Architect within Databricks IT.
Yeah, so I'll start with our AI playbook. Basically, our AI playbook has essentially three major parts. First is we want to make sure that every AI play we do has some kind of a productivity gain, and we want to make sure that it's applied to all the applications we build. Second is we want to improve the user experience for our employees. We want to make sure that with the new modalities coming out of GenAI for interactions like chat, voice, and video, we want to make sure that we apply these into our user experiences across the IT in all our systems. And third is we want to make sure that we have unified data, AI governance, and security. We want to make sure that data is coming from authoritative sources. It's clean, and whatever data we use is used in a secure manner. Okay, as all of you know, AI has huge potential, and every single function is up for disruption. In our case, we are applying AI in all the business functions that we serve for. In IT support, I'll give some examples of that. In IT support, we already reduced the number of tickets to 60% by self-serving through AI. AI acts on the tickets and responds back to the user automatically, and that's one of the use cases we did. Second is we are using AI for all of our reporting loads to, we have moved all of our reporting loads to either Genie or AI BI. And on the RevOps side, finance side, we are actually working on comparing the contract PDF with the actual order in the ERP. This is a huge problem we have, where RevOps team has to manually compare the terms and conditions on the order as well as all the line items order with the ERP system. So we are automating that. And lastly, we have created several chatbots for different functions. Like RevOps, we have a chatbot for RevOps which can answer questions regarding RevOps. We have commissions chatbot that can answer commission-related questions, and we have equity chatbot which can respond to questions about equity. So we are trying to put AI into all our functions across IT, across Databricks. Okay, so before we discuss how we build our agentic experience, I want to discuss our data architecture within Databricks. As you know, data is the foundation of AI, and we use Databricks as our warehouse for all of our AI-related loads and the pipelines. Our Databricks workspace is one of the largest across all of our customers. We currently have about 3,000 monthly active users as well as 100,000 jobs running every day. And we follow the standard medallion architecture. We collect data from more than 200 SaaS applications, and we ingest the data into our bronze layer. From there, we convert the data into silver and gold layers, and that data is available for our business users to use. We have created several gold layers for commissions, product, all of that. And this gold data is then fed into the AI BI reports, as well as sometimes it's reversed ETL back into the system of records. For example, we put our data, commissions data back into Salesforce for the sellers to look at. We follow the similar architecture on our AI use cases. Okay, so for sales, specifically for GTM, we wanted to solve problems that our sellers face. So what problem do they face? Well, the most prominent problem they face is data is sitting in silos, and they have several applications to deal with. For example, for opportunities, they go into Salesforce. For forecasting, they have to go to another tool. And for customer communication, they go to Outreach, which is yet another tool. So there are many data silos, many different tools to deal with, and the user experience is very confusing, right? So to solve that specific problem, we wanted to make sure that we provide a unified experience to the seller. And that's the problem we are talking about today. So this is how a day in the life of a seller looks like. Seller comes in, they log into various systems, find information, prepare for meetings, prepare documentation, as well as end of the day, they log their discussions with the customer into the system, which this consumes most of their time, and they cannot focus on the work they actually need to, outcome they actually need to get out of their whole day. And with AI, AI provides them information at their fingertips. With ease, it prepares them for the meeting, generates the EBC doc, logs the notes automatically by summarizing the transcripts and ingesting into the systems. And think about this, like this is just for a single seller. If you multiply this across 4,000 sellers, it's a huge productivity gain. Okay, so now I'll talk about our GenAI journey. We started with traditional chatbots, the chatbot that could provide answers to the question, user question, which didn't have any knowledge of history of the questions or didn't have much context, but it was just plain question and answer. Then in the second stage, we started building RAG applications where we collected data from various sources and started summarizing and started extracting information from that. That was our second step. Now we had more than one data source connected in this stage. Now currently we are at a stage when agent and tool became more powerful. We started building a general purpose chatbot which could answer all kinds of questions or perform actions on various data sets. So it not only provided queries, but it started generating content like EBC document generation as well as org chart generation. So in this stage, we had our agent running and supporting the seller across various systems. In this stage, we also created an evaluation framework where we could figure out if the data is relevant, accurate, or not. And this was super important for us to continue to keep track of to provide a better user experience and improve upon our agent. Okay, so and now what we are doing is we are moving to a stage 4 where we are building more than one agent, not just one agent. Today's agent is general purpose, and we are building agents to perform specific tasks. Like for use cases, we are going to build a single agent. For commissions or consumption, we are going to create a second agent. These agents will be able to talk to each other to provide a better user experience.
I'm very excited about the announcement today about Agent Break. This is the direction we are going to move our implementation as well.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, let me introduce Moe. This is our agent that we created on top of Salesforce. This is an in-the-flow agent which provides answers where the seller is. So the original problem, as I mentioned, was that there are too many silos. They have to switch the tools. We didn't want to create a separate application where user goes, which will become another application. So we wanted to provide our experience right there where the seller is, and in our case, it's the Salesforce as a CRM. So we built Moe on top of Salesforce, which started providing the features that I mentioned previously in the Moe, and we'll have a demo as well. Akhil will be providing a demo. So Moe has now access to not just Salesforce data, it has various other data sets that Akhil will show a demo of. And this is the beauty of the agent. Seller doesn't have to switch the context. the information is provided, the documents are generated right there. In terms of GenAI capabilities for Moe, we use a standard Databricks stack, and on top of that, we can do various tasks like summarization of various things like notes or support cases and things like that, as well as Moe can generate content as I described previously. It can do full conversation with a chat history, and it can figure out what was the previous question, and based on that, it can answer the next question without providing the full context. It can also perform action and update data as needed. Okay, so we have about 60 to 70 tools in our library for various areas for our agent. On the account intelligence side, the seller can ask for 10K summary or support cases in an account. Our business is a consumption-based business, so the sellers care a lot about the consumption. So Moe can provide quarter-over-quarter growth trends, or when the customer is going into burst, that kind of information it can provide. It can also provide information for customer references. You can find similar customers for similar use cases for the customer. And one of the important things that sellers care about is the use case hygiene, right? Are the use cases updated properly in the Salesforce or not? And Moe can answer the questions like, okay, what cases are missing next steps, or certain other information about the use cases. And lastly, you do content retrieval through sales content retrieval. For example, give me a pitch deck for certain use case, so you can get that information from Moe as well. With that, we'll jump into the demo. Akhil will be providing the demo.
Thanks, Manjeet. So what you're going to see is a live demo. In front of you is essentially a standard Salesforce screen. I'm logged into Salesforce, and I'm on the home page for Salesforce. And Moe is available to all our sellers on the right-hand corner of the screen. All I need to do is click on Moe, and it's available to you to ask any question. The first important thing is Moe is contextual. That means it knows where you are in Salesforce, and based on that context, it can answer the right question. For example, if you happen to be on account page, it knows which account you are on, and all the answers will be relevant to that account. If you happen to be on a specific opportunity, it will be able to answer the question about that opportunity. Now, at this point, I am in the seller homepage, right? I'm not in a specific context. I'm in overall Salesforce context, so I can ask any question about any account. For example, let me ask about the summary of the recent 10K from Nike. Now, in this case, the agent will go and summarize the 10K information. But what happens here is we have multiple Nike account in our Salesforce instance. So agent is smart enough to detect that and give me the choice to pick the right Nike account in this case. So I'm going to pick the customer account for Nike. And now the 10K statements are already there in our data warehouse, in our internal data lake. So what Moe agent is doing is actually is running in our data intelligence platform and getting the 10K and displaying the result back to me. The result itself is displayed in both graphical format as well as in textual format. So the summary information is something that we have prompted ourselves. That means we are able to detect the financial information, the balance sheet highlights, as well as the digital transformation, the informations that are relevant to our sellers. Now, another important feature that our sellers wanted to get was getting the org information for an account. So I can actually just type it here. Now, I don't have to specify Nike here. All I need to say, give me the org chart. Since our agent is conversational, it already knows the context that you are referencing the Nike account from a previous chat. So it can continue with that context, and it can give me the org chart information. Now, this org chart information is coming from third-party sources. What we have done is we have put a much better interface to allow the user to drill down into the org, right? So what you saw here was essentially information that is available from third-party sources, public domain sources. Now, what if a seller wants to get the information which is a first party, which is available in our CRM itself? To demo that, let me go into the specific demo customer account. So we created this account just for the demo purposes. So here, since I'm in the specific account page, now Moe is now contextual to that account already, right? You can see that the Moe is now displaying the frequently used preceded prompts that we have, based on our analytics, we have figured out that these are the prompts that our sellers are asking. So we have already contextualized it for you. You can ask to generate an EBC document, or you can get the competitive tech stack of this account, or you can get customer references. You can actually also ask free-form questions right here, like any chat experience, right? So let me start by getting the quarter-over-quarter growth for this account. What Moe is doing is going back to our agent and getting the information from Salesforce and summarizing the information and presenting it back. The important aspect was when we actually implemented Moe, we wanted it not to be just a chat-based chatbot. We wanted it to be much more richer experience. So we implemented specific implementation to show both graph-based information as well as text-based information. So what you see here is a quarter-over-quarter summary, as well as the summarized information about the growth itself. Now I can ask more information. Let's assume that I'm preparing for a meeting with this customer, and I want to get the top use cases now. So I can just type in the top use cases. So use case is a custom object in our system. So we are essentially querying the custom object information, and then the agent is smart enough to determine what is the top use cases. In our context, the top use case is determined by $DBU. So that's the definition of top use cases. And it's listing all the top use cases in a tabular format. Again, the markdown we have. And I can click on any of the use case and go deeper into it in case I need to. Now, I got the top use cases. I had a meeting last year with this customer. Let me see what was the summary of that meeting. So I can ask the agent itself to summarize give me the summary of the recent meeting. So in this case, we are going against our customer notes, and we are pulling all the customer notes or recent customer note and summarizing it. So in this case, it gave me the most recent one. I can ask it to give me the most recent 3 meetings summary. So it should ideally put, in this case, the most recent, those 3 recent meetings, actually. So it's smart enough to detect what the context of the user is and get the information. Again, I want to see what kind of credits are available so that I can have a meaningful conversation with my account. So in this case, this query is special. So far, what you saw was information that is coming from the CRM itself. Now, in this case, I'm going to our knowledge-based system, which happens to be Glean internally. We essentially are going against Glean retrieval API to get the knowledge-based content around what are the different credits available for this account. So you can see that it got various different credit offers that I can talk to my customer about and see what makes sense for them. Now, I want to create a pitch deck also. So I can ask for pitch deck. Again, the same context. That means it will go and fetch the knowledge article. I don't have to go to different system. I can just stay here and ask for the pitch deck document, and it can actually retrieve the information for me. So in this case, again, it's making a call back to the backend system and getting the information from Glean. The agent is running in our environment, but making the call to all the downstream systems. So you saw all the standard retrieval and summarization use cases. Now, one of the important feature is, since I'm preparing for the meeting, execs are attending that meeting, so I need to prep my execs for the meeting, and I need to create an EBC document. Now, traditionally, this EBC document for a seller takes a long time. They may take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to create an EBC document for a given account. And here in this EBC document, it contains both the first-party information as well as the third-party information that generally gets added to the document, briefing document. And now I can generate that EBC document right with a single click, right? The document itself is generated, created in Google Drive, and shared with the seller. So the seller can actually share it back. So now this document contains the detail of the account, And all the red color information is something that the agent was not able to find. So the seller is supposed to fill that information on their own. But all the other information, for example, account-specific information is available right here. It contains the public domain information about the account itself, as well as it contains the use cases information. And in case, since ours is a consumption-based business, if it has consumption, this account has consumption, then it will show the consumption trends and all the other relevant information right here. Yeah. As you can see, this is a hugely beneficial tool for improving the seller productivity within our ecosystem. So that was a demo. So now let's go back and talk about how we did it. Thanks, Manjeet. OK, so before I talk about our implementation, let's talk about what is agent tool actually happens. What is it really? So agent is essentially a brain that does the reasoning and decisioning and invoke a set of tools as determined by the LLM. So in this case, the user is asking for, give me opportunities more than $1 million. So the agent will reach out to LLM and find out what are the set of tools that will be able to fulfill the goal of the user. In this case, get opportunity is a tool that will be selected. And the way the tools are selected is each of the tool has a description. And that description is what is used by the LLM to figure out what are the right set of tools. It can be one or more tools, and it can be chained together. And then the tools are invoked. And to invoke the tool, we need to bind the input parameter with the tool. In this case, the input parameter happens to be $1 million, which is coming from the user, as well as the account that the user is in. And that's a binding that automatically happens by the agent. The important part is we have not coded for anything. All we have done is we have created a tool, provided the description, and the agent and LLM are doing the job. Right? So this way, we can actually keep adding the tools. As long as the description is clear, agent will be able to figure out what is the right set of tool to invoke in the flow. The tools itself are external functions. They can be Python or SQL function. In this case, we have a Python function which is making a call to Salesforce and getting the real-time information from Salesforce and returning it back to the agent. Agent, all it needs to do is essentially take the next action, whatever that might be. It may actually call another tool, set of tool, or it may, in this case, summarize the result and return it back to the user. Return that back, for example, in this example, it's a set of 2 opportunities which are figured out from the system. So with that background, let's talk about what we did. For our implementation, we are using Moe AI platform. Essentially, in the previous thing you may have heard about AI bricks, that's the next evolution. But last year, we announced the Moe AI platform, which is the agent platform we are using for our implementation, which is essentially serving the agent through our model serving endpoint. We have deployed the agent in the platform, which is essentially giving us a agent serving endpoint, which is what we have used. But before we actually deployed the agent, we had to work a lot on the data. So it's super important to make sure that your data quality is good. We wanted to make sure our sellers can trust the output of the agent. And thereby, we created a gold dataset for our agent for specific datasets for some of the tools. The agent itself is a custom implementation. We started with LangChain, but we pivoted over to our own implementation for certain design considerations. And when we first launched our agent, there were a lot of questions from our business. What is the efficacy of this agent? Is it working? Is it returning the right result? And we had no data to prove it. So we had to write our evaluation criteria, and the Moe AI platform actually provided a rich way to set the evaluation judges, which is what we have implemented in our system. We started with a pilot, and then we launched it to all the 4,000 sellers. So right now, it's available to all our sellers, and they're using across the board. Let's talk about the components of the system. There are 4 components. First is the UI layer. You may have observed it, or it may be not very obvious. It's a Chrome plugin. The way we overlaid our agent on top of Salesforce, we essentially enable a Chrome plugin, which is deployed systematically across all our agents, all our sellers. Right? So it's available in the browsers by default. And the Chrome plugin itself is a React application. So it was important for us to make sure that as the new tools are introduced, the contract between the backend and the front end is kept whole. So we we came up with our own markdown to provide a good experience, good richer experience. So along with the standard markdown, we have come up with a construct for graph-based displays. Okay. As you see that it's in the flow, that means no matter where you go in the Salesforce, Chrome plugin is available to you in the context. It can be extended to other applications in the future. We can look at other surfaces that the seller goes to, and we can extend the Chrome plugin to those surfaces as well. The front end talks to our back end. It's essentially our OAuth proxy. In our experience, you saw that I was logged into Salesforce, but all the calls that agent is making a call back to Salesforce or Glean, they're happening in the seller context. You only see the information in the agent that you have access to in Salesforce and in Glean, right? And the way it happens is when you log into Salesforce, we essentially use our backend OAuth to do a token exchange with Salesforce in the backend. And that allows us to, and we pass the token back to all the way to our tools to actually make the call back to Salesforce. So that was hugely important for us to provide a seamless experience. We don't want the user to grant permission to Salesforce separately, to Glean separately, and multiple grants experiences is something that we wanted to avoid. The agent itself is running on the Moe AI platform. Like I said, it's a custom implementation. All our tools are UC functions in Python and SQL, and they are governed by UC catalog. The data layer is essentially primarily, we created our warehouse in our platform to make sure that all the data, all the gold data set that I talked about earlier is available to the agent, as well as for some real-time information, some of the tool goes back to Salesforce or to Glean, and in case we need to write to Google Drive, it writes back to Google Drive as well. From architecture perspective, when the request comes from the end user, it goes through our proxy on AWS, and it hits a model serving endpoint. The agent is deployed in our model serving endpoint, and the agent has access to all the available LLM models. In our case, at this point, we are using GPT-4o, but we continue to experiment with different LLM models all the time. Right? The agent itself calls the tool in the serverless compute, right? And the tools have access to any resource. It can make a call to vector database, or now to AI Brick, that was announced today, or it can go to Genie Room, or to an external service like Google Drive or G Suite or Glean or Salesforce. All of this interaction is captured through ML flow traces, right? And that is super beneficial for us, because the Moe AI platform provides a very rich evaluation framework that allow us to create their judges available out of box, but it allows us to extend it and create custom judges as well, evaluation judges, right? Which is what we have done in our implementation. We essentially extended the standard judges, evaluation judges, and we created our own relevancy judge to extend the implementation that came up in the platform. We also did the groundedness judge, which essentially means whether the agent response is grounded in the data that was provided to it. And we also implemented the tool selection judge. And what I mean by this is, when we started with our journey, and we started adding more and more tools, now we have more than 60 tools, we started to realize that our tools are conflicting with each other. Remember I said that the tools are selected based on the description. So if the two tools have the similar description, agent will get confused which tool to pick. And that was happening a lot, right? So we wanted to make sure that the description is accurate, and we introduce a judge to make sure that the judge is helping us to figure out whether when we introduce a new tool, is it clashing with the existing set of tools. So it helps in the regression testing a lot. We also use the tracing data for operational metrics. For example, how many requests are coming in, week over week trend on the agent. All of that business metrics and operational metrics are available through the tracing. We have created our own custom AI dashboard on top of the traces to help us with analytics information. I forgot to show one piece. I can go back and show that there is a feedback mechanism as well. I can give thumbs up, thumbs down, and I can provide this feedback. That feedback is also available through the ML traces for us, for our tracing mechanism, right? So we can give this information back to the product management to analyze, as well as we can make it useful for our future improvement of the agent. So that's how we implemented our implementation. So let's talk about the lessons learned.
Yeah, along the way in our journey, we learned a lot of lessons. First one is, which is the most important, is data is messy, and with data is scaling to 10x on structured as well as unstructured data, it's important to find the right sources of truth and have a clean data structure and make sure that it's governed by UC. I'll give an example. We have ARR in multiple systems, so we want to make sure that we use the authoritative source of truth and clean data everywhere. So this is super important, and we had to do a lot of work on this area to make sure data is clean. Second is managing user expectations, right? If you are building a chatbot, you need to make sure that user expectations are set around what the chatbot can do. The expectation becomes that the chatbot can answer any question, even if it is not sales related in this case. Users are asking a lot of different questions. So how do we solve that problem? One is educating the users about telling them the boundary conditions and what the agent can do or cannot do. That's one. Second is increasing the footprint of the agent itself by adding more and more tools and filling the gap where the gaps are. So these are the two important lessons we saw in this area about managing the expectations. And third is measuring the ROI is very difficult. Like once the user adoption happens, then only you know what the ROI is. You have to start with some assumptions and start building your agentic experiences. And once the user adoption happens, you need, like Akhil said, like measuring the groundedness or accuracy, relevancy is very important. And capturing the user feedback as well to make sure that what we are building is really useful for the user or not, and tracking those. So what we are doing is we are gathering all this feedback and we are categorizing the questions into answerable or non-answerable. If the questions are not answerable, is there a reason? Is it in the scope? And what are the topics the question belongs to? So we are doing a topic classification as well to figure out what are the most demanding tools that we should build. So that is one of the important aspect of this. And the last is change is the only constant. The technology is changing every week. If you look at in the GenAI space, and keeping up with is difficult, as well as user demands are increasing as well. They expect a lot. So you need to continuously evolve your model. If there are 1,000 tools, you can't build 1,000, but you need to find out the perfect technology to deliver your agentic experiences. Yeah, that's all we had. We can take a few questions. If you want to ask a question, maybe you can come up to mic.